This is the one in which Joe Biden formally announces the time of death for the Iran nuclear deal, which Donald Trump foolishly killed in 2018, even as experts ominously note that Iran could develop crude nukes in 6 months. So I've got a bit of bad news in the world of foreign policy, in a world that already has more than enough bad foreign policy related news. Ever since Russia invaded Ukraine, and Putin has suggested a time or two that he would employ tactical nukes to, try to salvage his otherwise doomed Ukrainian war effort. You have China, relentlessly pursuing its economic and military ambitions. And of course, North Korea is still lingering in the background, pursuing its own nuclear program. But now today we have to add one more bad story to the plate, and that is, according to a newly surfaced video, President Biden tells a woman with whom he is speaking that the Iran nuclear deal is dead. Now, this may not seem like a big deal because technically the Iran nuclear deal died under the Trump administration back in 2018, but this is bad news. This is, we were kind of optimistic that the Iran nuclear deal would be resuscitated, and Biden's remarks here suggest otherwise. So, as a bit of a refresher, the Iran nuclear deal was called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. It was negotiated and implemented by the Obama administration between 2015 and 2016. And it essentially represented a deal between the United States, the European Union, and the United Nations with Iran, because Iran has been a security risk, particularly in the Middle East, but also just really to democracies everywhere for decades. And they indicated a strong interest in pursuing nuclear ambitions and developing, nuclear military capability. And so essentially, the US, the UN, and the EU says, look, Iran, if you agree to basically kill your military nuclear program, we will relieve you of the crippling sanctions that have been imposed on you, and we'll also lift certain trade embargoes that allow you to trade, conventional weapons, and certain missile capability, as long as they're not nuclear. And so the deal was agreed to by all parties. Iran agreed not to produce the enriched uranium and plutonium that it would need to develop military capabilities. It agreed to commit its nuclear research facilities to civilian purposes and medical purposes and nothing military related, that it would, not employ its heavy water reactors, which are needed to produce nuclear weapons. And the agreement was met with mixed reviews by, diplomatic, military, and foreign policy experts. A lot of people said, look, on paper the deal is great, and this is a good solid step in the right direction. And others said the deal is great on paper, but you can't trust Iran to follow through with its commitments. So the reaction was a bit mixed. And during President Trump's campaign, he promised that he would, if elected after Obama's second term, that he would get rid of the deal. Right, because he said it's a bad deal, it provides Iran too many loopholes, and it's essentially paying Iran not to develop weapons. That the United States is essentially being held hostage. We're paying somebody not to try to hurt us and our allies. And so Trump, big, chest thumper that he is, says we're going to shred the deal if I win, and we're going to negotiate a better deal because I'm a fantastic businessman. Nobody knows how to, negotiate a deal better than me. I know how to negotiate the best deals. Believe me, believe me. So in 2017, the United States, under the Trump administration, refused to recertify the Iran nuclear deal, and then in 2018, they formally brought us out. They just took the United States out of the deal, shattering the deal effectively because, of course, the U.S. was the single biggest, guarantor. When that happened, Iran said basically to hell with you. Okay, if you're not going to hold up your end, we're not going to hold up our end either. And so Iran resumed its nuclear program with great speed. It exceeded its previously agreed upon, limitations for uranium and plutonium. It indicated that it was going to accelerate uranium enrichment. It resumed its heavy water reactors. They developed new centrifuges to increase enrichment capability. And then finally, they said that the United Nations would no longer be welcome to, basically monitor its nuclear capability, which was one of the terms of Obama's Iran nuclear deal, that essentially UN inspectors could come in and have unfettered access to inspect any of Iran's nuclear facilities and make sure that they were using them for the agreed upon civilian and medical purposes. And then Iran basically said, to hell with you, you're not welcome. So it's been bad. And of course, this happened in 2018. It's 4 years later. We're approaching 5 years very soon. And Iran has continued to aggressively work to make up for this lost time. And of course, Donald Trump failed to negotiate a better deal. So that was one of his many broken campaign promises. And the result is that the world is a less safe place. According to a recent think tank report, Iran may be able to develop crude nukes within 6 months. This is I think the initial report came in July, and additional information has come up since then to December 5th. So this is a relatively new report that Iran's nuclear capability could be pretty robust in a matter of months, which is extremely dangerous because, of course, they're not only hostile to our allies in the Middle East, but also the U.S. as well. So if they develop the means not only to develop the nuke, but the means to get it, you know, via like ICBM across vast distances, that poses a risk to us here in the United States, the homeland, right? So it's very bad. The Trump administration left us in a really bad situation. And the hope was that President Biden, once he was elected in 2020, would essentially be able to get Iran back to the table and say, look, you know, I and Barack Obama helped negotiate this deal. This jerk, this Trump guy, he took us out of it. That's not what we wanted. Nobody wanted that. He's gone. Let's come back to the table. Iran, you know, is understandably reticent to go back to the table since the U.S. technically broke its word. And of course, you know, Iran is hardly like a beacon of good faith anyway. But based on the current article, President Biden is not confident, is no longer confident that he will be able to renegotiate and resume the Iran nuclear deal. The administration is not going to waste time on trying to revive the Iran nuclear deal at this time, considering Tehran, which is the capital of Iran's crackdown on protesters, Iranian support for Russia's war in Ukraine, and its positions on the nuclear program. Apparently this happened at a campaign rally. I don't know if the president realized that he was being recorded at the time, because he said that he was not going to formally announce it, right? And yet here it is kind of being leaked to the press. It doesn't look like a deal's coming together anytime soon. It looks like Iran is going to continue to aggressively pursue its nuclear ambitions, and the world is less safe as a result. Now, as disappointed as I am in this, this is certainly not the Biden administration's fault, because again, the Iran nuclear deal was killed by Donald Trump and the Trump administration, contingent on Trump's boast that he would be able to negotiate a better deal, and of course he failed. So this is yet another way in which Donald Trump has made America and the world in general a less safe place. So, Godspeed. Hey you! Yeah, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe. Also, my link tree is in the description below, so if you have a sec, go ahead and share the love on all my social media accounts. Also, if you want to express an opinion, eternal devotion, or undying contempt, go ahead and leave a comment, because we're always looking for feedback. And on that note, I look forward to pondering politics and pop culture again with you very soon.